everybody, it's Holly Burns of Holly Burns Psychic. Welcome. I want to say thank you to everybody that has been reaching out in the comments after my first video on this series about David Wilcock. Wow, it's been amazing for me to have so many correlations from you guys. It's been wonderful, actually wonderful. I had no idea I was going to get any of that. When I put out the video, I had no idea what was going to happen. And it's been such a pleasant surprise to meet so many new people through this experience and to hopefully bring this vibration to the collective consciousness. The more of us that are on this frequency, the stronger it gets. And this is a very high vibrating narrative. It's a very high vibrating frequency of consciousness to be on because there's the absence of fear and it's all full of love and light. So this is a very, very healthy perspective to be sending out into the ether and inviting more people into this frequency. So thank you for doing this work with me. I so appreciate all of you joining in with me energetically. So let's get into what's going on next. I asked David last night what he's doing on the other planet because somebody had said, hey, let's ask him that. I said, yeah, it's a good idea. So we're going to get into that with him. And also why other people are getting other narratives. I also have many, many little blips and downloads of things that I've been saving in my phone, in my notes app, all kinds of things like future events that I'm getting blips of that are coming regarding David, and also current confirmations coming from my guides, the elders, and from David's higher self. So we got all of that coming. So let's get into all that. And then next time around, I'm going to delve more into what exactly happened with the body switch and how that was played out and how that was achieved. I want to know it. They freeze time. They did say to me a few days ago, replication of his DNA. Like they can take his DNA and replicate with their replicators another exact body. So anyway, I don't know if that's what they did yet. I just know that they were saying they can. So I'm going to speak with the alien group and find out more details about that for the next time around. So last night I sat down with David and I did a reading with David to gather all this information. And some of it comes from the elders, some of it comes from David's higher self, and some of it is, well, they're told to me from those two sources, but they can be about David himself speaking as well. So all different things happening there. Let's start with the reading I did last night with David. So I sat down and asked him what he's doing there. I said, what are you doing there that's related to work? Because he had told us I went there for work. He said he's going there to expand himself. He's taking a journey of great expansion. Okay, awesome. Then he said, just living here is my work. Truth. Then he said, but I'm also learning from them. High consciousness teachings. He's learning how to be an expanded being. Basically, he's getting the fast track lessons that we can't get on Earth because we have an agreement that the aliens can't just come in and just speed us up, that we have to collectively get ourselves there on our own. And he can take the fast track over there and they can tell him all their secrets because he's not on Earth where they have these rules. And also he may be working as getting his healing skills up to par as well, because he talked about doing healing work as well, and learning from them about healing. He also said, I'm writing down everything. But he's showing me, he's not like, he doesn't have to write like on Earth where you have to write it out or type out everything, but he's recording. He said, I'm recording everything that's happening. Now it is being recorded in the Akashic Records, but he's doing it in some fashion that he'll be able to bring it back to Earth with him. I don't know if he's going to be granted the ability to have, full cognizance and access to his own Akashic Records when he comes back. Maybe he'll do it through hypnosis. But anyway, he's documenting. He kind of alluded to me that he's spending some time documenting things, writing down everything, but not really writing. So then he was talking about a family member of his that's back here that he's been concerned about. And I think it's his mother. He said he's been astral traveling to be with this person when they're sleeping at night. And he said, I have been discussing things with her while she's sleeping. So hopefully she'll wake up with more peace in her heart, because she doesn't remember exactly the conversations, but she might remember some of them I'm getting now from him. I also figured out another huge thing about where he's at, that one reason why some people are getting confused with the questions they're asking and the answering they're getting is because they're not taking into account the possibility that the planet that he is on is in another dimension. Bing, bing, bing! I just got that this afternoon. It took me a day to get that. So, just like Bashar's planet is not in our dimension, just like the Greys are not from our dimension, like that. So, just like Bashar says, his planet is in the Orion system, except for we wouldn't find it with a telescope. It is in another dimension. So that is where his planet is that he went to. So a lot of people, if they ask questions like, is David Wilcock no longer on the earth? Yes. He's not. But then they'll think, oh, okay, that means he's dead. No, it doesn't. Do you see what I'm saying here? It's all in the translator's ability to translate, to get the right answers. So if they ask, is he on Earth? No. They're going to think he's dead. Then they're going to start asking questions about him being dead. The other thing is multiple timelines, and we'll get to that in the other part of this video. All right. So the family member. And I said, what else? And I said, what else are you doing there? And he said, I'm watching from a distance. I'm watching silently from a distance. So he's able to know what's going on Earth from where he is. So that's great. And then he said he's been giving many choices of like jobs he can do. And he's deciding which ones he wants to do, or which one he wants to do. He's choosing from several jobs, he said. But it's not like a job. It's like he just said right now, areas of interest. Right. And of course, he's going to be interested in the science and the hovercrafts and all that as well. So I don't know if they're asking him where he wants to contribute to that, like within that realm. If he has choices to contribute to different areas, that would be so cool. So I'll try to get more from that. This is kind of a brief reading because I have so much material to go over in this video today. I can go back and get more as we go along. Oh, he also said that person that he was really concerned about, that he's been working with in the astral at night with this person and visiting this person, he said he wishes they could know this information because it's so much more aligned than the other frequency of David Wilcock had a mental breakdown and committed suicide. That is so icky. It's just the whole vibration of it. See, that's the thing. When you read how Western society feels about mental illness, just that's twingy. You know why? Because they don't understand it. And so since they don't understand that state of consciousness, they think there's something wrong with it and we must be ill or sick. And a lot of times they're just super psychic people that are shape-shifting in and out of different dimensions. And so the whole thing is just dissonant. So when you go over there and compare the vibrations of all that over there, that just feels very dissonant to me. And especially the part about the psychotic break. It's like, oh, that is so dissonant to me. I can't even go there. It's so divergent to what feels aligned. Okay. Then I go over here and I go, oh, this is the biggest disclosure story ever to be written. David was born for this. This is his destiny. This is his true soul's path. This is the biggest thing that ever happened. He's working with Jesus and Mary with the second coming of Christ, which is what he's obsessed about all of his life, and finding out all the answers to disclosure and all these things he's researched. He's going to live it firsthand in the biggest experience he's ever had of his life. And at the same time, we're going to transcend all of this tyranny on the planet. And he's a big part of breaking us free from all that and paving the way for all of our consciousness to be expanded. Let's compare. Which frequency feels better to you? That would be wonderful if more people could be over here, because what that's going to do is that's going to send out a transcendence of fear to the collective consciousness as well, because this does not have fear. And that's huge, because over here we're still working on fear of evil, fear of mind control. People were persecuting him. They had power over him. So we're transcending all those lower vibrational things right now, and we're ascending. And he's like at the forefront of all that. It doesn't really get any cooler than that to me. He said, or me neither. Right. He is getting ready to interact with a woman on that planet as well. His woman right now that he will be mating with, I believe, is going through a tough time right now. And then he said, I'm learning everything I can about their technology as it pertains to hovercraft technology, or basically their science. So that's cool. And then he's saying that's the one reason why they asked if he wanted to come there, because they knew he would love to learn about their technology. So that's a big reason why he got asked to go over there, because they knew already that he was going to just take to it like nothing. And he said, plus it's one of his homes. I said, is there anything else? And then he interrupted with a whole line of cards that said he did not commit suicide, that he had all his faculties. He's told me that at least 3 times, that he had all his mental faculties. He really was adamant about that. And then David told me, this is his higher self speaking, less than 200,000 miles. So he's less than 200,000 miles away. And he said 12,000%, meaning, Holly, you're 12,000% right. You know, like super right. And then he said, I'm doing it. And he meant, I'm really doing it. I'm really off here on this other planet. I'm doing it. I'm doing the journey. I'm not off dead. This was a blip of him talking to me in the future. This is David's lower self talking to me at a future moment. And he says, people were really hard on you. You made predictions that people were really hard on you for, but it came true. I just wanted to tell you that I really appreciate that. Well, he's not going to say that to me if he's not going to come back, right? Then they said, David is saying about the aliens. So this is a blip of David's lower self talking, but his higher self is conveying this information to me that David's lower self is explaining. They are offering us an option that we've never had before, to move in that direction. They're not going to force anyone to do it, but there will be probably over the course of the next couple decades. We don't have to do it. It's up to us to decide. We will eventually do it. Okay, so in the middle of that, when he said we don't have to do it, it's up to us to decide. We will eventually do it. That was David talking about choosing his mate, and that he's not forced to pick anybody over there. He's not in some sort of arranged meeting, you know, an arranged marriage, that he can choose it, and that he and his mate will eventually decide that they want to mate up. David's higher self said to me, stay on a different route. Stay over here on this frequency. And I have locked into the one where this is a thing. For some people, it might not be real to them. Some people might be over in this other dimension 5 years from now when he comes back. That version of them is going to be left behind in the other version that he didn't come back in. And I'm going to be over here, and you guys will too, be over here in this other dimension where he comes back. And we leave other versions of ourselves behind in the other dimension where he didn't come back. Because there's infinite versions of us too. We leave those behind as a stand-in, and then we move through to all these different dimensions, and we switch through them as our consciousness rises and falls. We go up or down through dimensions. And so what he was saying was stay on a different route. Stay on your route. Stay on the trajectory that feels aligned for you, Holly. I'm like, okay, thank you. They're not saying, Holly, you're wrong. Switch to this dimension. Holly, I'm sorry, dear, but he really did just commit suicide. I'm sorry, but that's the real answer. They're not saying that to me. Then David said, all of it. Love life. So he's saying that he did not commit suicide and that he's doing all of it. He's doing the whole journey. He's doing everything that I'm downloading, that he's doing it, that he's doing the whole circular thing of going and coming back. Then when people talk about the psychotic breakdown that happened to poor David, when we test that frequency of people saying, oh, poor David, the elders are telling me no the whole time, and my higher self saying no, just like that, like, no. So I figured it out that I believe they're picking up on different timelines, and we're all converging right now with several timelines. They want me to tell you about this. We do also have timelines that collapse into one another at some point in time along the way, which is why we have the Mandela effect. So all kinds of crazy things goes on with that all the time. And they said to me, what was your last thought? And I'm like, oh, my last thought was I was reading somebody's reply on my video. And they were saying, oh, this is aligned for me. This resonates with me. And then right after I read that, they said, what was your last thought? And I'm like, that it's aligned. Thanks, guys. They said, it's really all in one. It's hard to describe. And I'm like, okay, the afterlife where people are dead and where David is right now, the planet he's on, is really all in one. Okay, but that's two different locations. It's two different realms. I figured out a few hours later, oh, they were just kind of trying to give me a hint so I could figure out that David's in a different dimension. He traveled across to a place where we can't even get at from here unless we know how to portal travel to the other dimension. That just so made sense. Just clicked in, it came into alignment. So that's what they meant. They didn't mean that where David is and the dead realm is the same exact same thing, but they're basically saying multiple dimensions because, well, they said, well, we kind of are, because when you're dead, you're in another dimension. You're not really dead. That's true. They said death is really just moving to a different dimension. Okay, this is David from the future. I remote viewed him saying, oh my gosh, it's so good to be back. And then he said to me, he said, I'm so excited to chat. We're going to really get into some really good stuff. And then he said 100%. So he meant like, you're 100% on it, Holly. You're 100% right. And then that was his higher self saying, we're going to really get into some good stuff. So he was saying, keep going, keep your connection to me. We're going to really get into some good stuff down the line. So I'm like, okay, I'm excited for that. That sounds good. And then here's David in the future. When he's back on Earth, the lower self David, okay? He's saying, where do they come from? And why do they come here? I can now answer all of these questions. That's David in the future talking to us when he's back. Then the elders said to me during the day today, they said, something really weird was caught on camera. Camera A. And that was about the body cams from the cops. So what they're hinting at is there's some funny business going on with the actual event. Something really weird was caught on camera. Bing, bing, bing. I'm going to delve into that next. I started working with the aliens to get answers from them about what could be happening. I think I briefly touched on that in video 1, but I'm going to try to get really deep into that for my next video and just like have them explain. And they also just said, you should also ask us about how David traveled to the other dimension. Yeah. I want to know about that too. That'd be really cool. And then David said, his higher self's conveying. So these are blips of David, the lower self, talking, but I'm hearing about it from the higher self. It's like the higher self is gossiping about his own self. Okay, gossiping to me about what's going on, right? He said, there, everything feels real because it is. And because he's saying, because I'm really having this experience. This is not my soul being dead and then my soul going off to my favorite spot. No. It's like he's tangibly experiencing this experience from within a body. Then I had this one jump out. Honoring that person's memory in a way they would have wanted. And then a celebration of life. When they did that, the last part was meaning. And then he comes back and we have to do a celebration of life because we first did a celebration of his memory. Like, oh, we're having the funeral for David. And then it was like, and then a celebration of life because he's not dead. I got the word Melchizedek, and I know there's a word called Melchizedek, but I got this word Melchizedek, and I was like, what's that? It jumped out like it's the name of the planet that he's at. So I don't know. I Googled it. There's no planets named Melchizedek. I don't know. And that's probably not the right word. But when I got it, it was like, oh, that's the planet he's at. And then I got, he will receive justice. Yes. And that doesn't mean his soul goes off to the other realm, he dies, he comes back, and he's reincarnated and he receives justice. I have a translation that I download along with these signs that I telepathically get from whoever's sending them to me. So these are my personal translations. And if you get another layer and another meaning, sometimes that's great. Like a lot of people have added a lot of cool things to my first video. And so we'll just take it all and we'll see if we can align it if you get something different. And then the elder said to me, Holly, you are on the right track. Awesome. That's my all-knowing guides that work with me 24/7. And then David said, I did not die in vain. And you could say that again. Okay, well, let's say he's dead now and he's saying I didn't die in vain. Yeah, that's true. He meant it like I did not die in vain. Like I didn't die. Like I didn't die in vain. Like take it all as one sentence. I didn't die in vain. Like I didn't die. Does that make sense? I didn't commit suicide. I didn't die in vain. Not meaning I didn't die in vain. My death will be vindicated. It's not like that. It's like I didn't die in vain. Like I didn't do that. This is David talking. He's saying, look into my eyes and soul, you will feel something. You will have truth and justice. And then he said, I've seen it. I don't want to do this, but I'll keep this up. So he said, I know some of my future. He's seen how the second coming of Jesus Christ and the alien disclosure is going to go down. He said, I've seen it. I'm like, whoa, dude, friggin' awesome. And he's saying, I don't want to do this, but I'll keep this up. He meant, I don't want to leave Earth and all this exciting things that are happening here on Earth, but I'll keep it up. Like, I will keep the commitment and do the journey. And I'm like, oh, if he's not taking a journey and he's not going to another planet, he wouldn't be saying things like that to me. I don't think this is the final result yet. I definitely still have some. That was David talking. And he was saying, I definitely don't think this is the final result yet. Meaning, I definitely don't think this is my final death. I'm not down in the grave, underground, 6 feet under. I definitely have some, meaning I definitely have some journey left to be doing here. And then he said, I'm very aware. And that meant of Earth. He's very aware of what's going on back on Earth. So he's got some way to know what we're doing here. Looking glass technology or something cooler that the aliens have for him to be able to see what's going on here. I do think that's part of his soul contract that he said, okay, I'll go, but I need to know, I need to be able to keep tabs on my loved ones and make sure everything's just so I know. He just said, just so I know. He's like, I don't want to go there and not know anything about anybody back here. He knows, he says. David's lower self said, emotionally, I feel great. I wasn't angry. Then somebody said he had a bounty on him. I'm like, oh, that is such a correlation with the initial meeting with the aliens that happened, that they were telling him, that someone's got a mark out for him and that he better get off the planet or he's going to get taken out. So somebody else was confirming that. And then I heard when I was coming in the door, someone on a podcast said, 333 is the Christ number. I'm like, oh, I've never heard that before. Okay, cool. Right when I heard that, David commented and he said, I just want to let all you guys know that I will talk to you soon. So David was saying, I just want you guys to know that I'm connected with Jesus and I'm working with Jesus as well. That was the Jesus Christ connection. Then David jumping in on that wavelength. When he said, I'll talk to you soon, he meant he will physically talk to all of us soon. And then he just, my next sign I see here is he said, I will tell you firsthand. Yeah, works for me. He said, rumors, these are false. So on this timeline over here, which is the one I'm seeing is like over here, and then the other ones are over there to me in dimension wise here. In this one, the rumors are false. Rumors that he had a psychotic breakdown, rumors that he just committed suicide and he couldn't take it anymore and all that, all those rumors. He said his friends and family do not know for their own protection. If they knew, they would become a target. If they were in any kind of direct contact with David as well, or if David gave him any hints or told them anything, then that would have put them in danger. And then David said to me, don't give up. Keep asking. Keep digging into information. Keep doing these readings. Don't quit trying to find out things from me. And that's encouraging to me because that means find out more. Whenever they tell me to do that, that always means there's something big that I need to uncover. And I'm always glad I did it whenever they tell me to keep digging. And David's talking about when he goes back to the other planet, he says, each time I return, I feel something so difficult to describe. Pretty cool. And then he said, I am here as a friend. Well, that was him going there as a friend to the other planet, but it was also a double layer of the aliens. that came to him saying, I am here as a friend. And then someone said to me, it is not a mistake, telling me this narrative over here is not mistaken. The elder said, he is going to return. You are misled. The elders are talking about the other people that don't believe that. They said, you are misled. So, okay, I'm going with this one over here. I'm going with that narrative. I want to be in that version of Earth. The aliens said, we're in a parallel reality and we are connected to you. So we communicate with you. So the other world has some sort of connection to Earthling humans. That's why they are grabbing him, taking him to there, because they have some sort of soul connection with us. So they could be, once again, our ancestors. Now we're getting into some of the dimension choosing things here in the timeline that you want to be on part, because it was starting to be revealed to me during the day-to-day that the aliens in the other world over there where David is, are saying, it's up to you to choose the stories that you want to have come true. And they said, it's up to you to choose stories that do not involve fear. So far below in vibration, there still exists these stories. On our world, we understand that our stories come out of your stories, and that we are a hybrid civilization created out of you and another culture from a parallel reality. We do not have stories of fear in our world. We simply choose other stories. It is up to you to choose other stories. They were saying that we simply choose another story. If we have a fear-based narrative, we just simply choose something else. So they're saying they have transcended that, and they choose non-fear. So what they were saying to me about that was, this is a different narratives and realities here of what happened to David. Some of the narratives are very fear-based, and they want to let us know not to choose those, and that we have the choice to choose a higher vibrating narrative and create that reality and go to that version of Earth where that reality exists, because there's infinite versions. So we ourselves can create that. There is a woman that did a YouTube video about being able to see parallel realities in her own life. She could see, as she was on a double date with her and her husband and another couple, she saw a whole different reality play out in another parallel dimension of the whole night. As she was doing the night, she saw this happened over here. In the other reality, they had an argument. The two couples had an argument and ended up in a fight. And in this reality, that fight never happened. Woo! Proof that we're living parallel realities at all times. We don't change Earth. We go to a different version of Earth that matches our frequency. In the other version of Earth that matches our frequency, there's other versions of everyone else there too. And our memories of the other dimension are erased. As soon as we switch dimensions, we don't remember anything that happened in the other one. Over here on the high frequency, we're going to have high frequency results. And then it's safe for David to come back. The next time I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to try to find more about the technologies behind how they pulled it off, what they did, and get more information behind the scenes with the meeting and what led up to the event. Thank you so much for being here. I look forward to seeing what you guys say about this round. For those of you that are interested in a private reading with me, you can catch me on my website at hollyburnspsychic.com. Thank you so much for being here. I look really forward to communing with all of you energetically. We're creating a very big web.